let me go live.
Sounds good. Let me know when you're ready to start the interview.
Yeah, today I have invited Maya again for the topic understanding emotional intelligence. So I'm going to discuss with Maya about emotional intelligence. So let's start with some questions. So my first question is, what is emotional intelligence in simple words?
Emotional intelligence is basically being smart about feelings, your own and other people's. It's not about being overly emotional or sensitive. It's about being able to recognize what you're feeling, figure out why, and then manage it. It also means picking up on what other people are feeling, even if they don't tell you directly.
Okay, so why is it becoming so important in today's world?
I think part of it's just that our world feels loud right now. Constant news, social media, everything pulling at your attention. Being able to manage your own reactions and understand what's going on with others helps navigate that. But beyond that, workplaces are starting to realize that people with higher emotional intelligence are just better team players, better at leadership, better at resolving conflict, better at collaboration. It's becoming a skill companies actively seek out.
Okay, so what are the key components of emotional intelligence?
There's usually four main areas: self awareness, knowing your own emotions and how they affect you, self management, being able to control impulsive feelings and adapt to changing circumstances, social awareness, picking up on the emotions of others, showing empathy, and relationship management, using your emotional understanding to build relationships and resolve conflicts. Sorry, did you say something? I might have missed that with
Okay,
the connection. You
yes,
mentioned
that's
relationship management.
you were telling me the key components. So, how is emotional intelligence different from IQ?
IQ is about problem solving, reasoning, that logical stuff. Emotional intelligence is more about navigating the messy human world, interpreting social cues, managing conflict, understanding motivation. You can have a high IQ but still struggle with emotional intelligence, and vice versa. There are different kinds of smarts. One is what you know, the other is how you manage yourself and others.
Okay, so what are the signs of a person that someone has high or low emotional intelligence?
Someone with high EQ usually handles stress well. They're good at listening, take responsibility for their actions, and seem to genuinely connect with people. People with lower EQ might be quick to anger, struggle with feedback, often blame others, have trouble reading social cues or building strong relationships. It's not always obvious, though. Some people get really good at masking low EQ.
Okay, if someone has low EQ, how he or she can improve it?
It's actually really trainable. That's the good news. Start with self awareness. That's the hardest part. Journaling helps, or just taking 5 minutes to really ask yourself what you're feeling when you're upset. Mindfulness exercises too. Practice empathy by actively listening to people instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. And for relationship management, it's about learning to de escalate conflict, not winning the argument, but understanding the other person's perspective. Baby steps.
Okay, so how can
Make
someone
sense?
start improving their emotional intelligence? If one step you told that uh, he or she can take baby steps, what else?
Well, Keep a thought record. Jot down situations that triggered strong emotions, what your reaction was, and what you wish you'd done instead. It's like practicing on paper first. Also, specifically ask for feedback from people you trust. Like, hey, how did I handle that conversation? Be prepared to hear stuff you don't love, but that's growth. And honestly, just practice slowing down before you react. That extra beat can make a huge difference.
How to practice on different people?
Well, it's a smart question. Start with low stakes interactions. The cashier at the grocery store, a coworker you don't interact with much. Use those as mini experiments. Like, can you genuinely make eye contact and smile? Can you pause before reacting if they're being short with you? And then slowly work your way up to more challenging relationships, close friends, family. The point isn't to suddenly become a different person, just to practice these skills where the consequences aren't huge.
Okay, can you share a real life example where emotional intelligence made a difference?
Yeah. I was reading about this team at Google that was consistently underperforming. Turns out the team leader had technical brilliance, but basically no people skills. They'd shut down ideas, criticize publicly, that sort of thing. Google sent them for emotional intelligence training, basically taught them active listening, constructive feedback, and the team performance actually doubled just from changing how that one person communicated. That feels like a pretty dramatic example of what it can unlock.
Okay, this is a great example. So, what are daily habits that can help build self awareness and emotional control?
Three things immediately come to mind. Morning pages, where you just free write whatever's in your head for 10 minutes. It's not about good writing, it's about getting that stuff out. Then meditation or mindfulness, having 5 to 10 minutes helps create space between you and your reactions. And finally, a daily review. Before bed, think back on your interactions, not to judge yourself, but just to notice patterns, like what kinds of situations always get under your skin. That's data.
Okay.
Yeah,
Once you told
those
that it's
simple
about
things.
meditation, and then what would be the next step? Habit.
Another, after you've got, yeah, after you have meditation as a habit, which honestly just means doing it regularly, the next step would be to focus on interpreting what you're noticing in those moments of calm. Like when you're meditating and you're feeling anxious, can you identify what that feeling actually is in your body? Is it tightness in your chest? Is it a racing heart? Once you get comfortable recognizing those signals, it makes it easier to recognize them when you're in the middle of a stressful situation.
Okay. And how does emotional intelligence impact relationships and career success?
It's huge for relationships. People want to be around people who make them feel understood. High EQ means you can genuinely see things from their perspective, which builds trust. Professionally, it's about better teamwork, stronger leadership, being able to handle conflict constructively, all things that move your career forward. But honestly, in the long run, it's also about having fulfilling relationships. You can be really successful and miserable if you can't connect with people on a human level.
Yes, it is very difficult to deal
Exactly.
the
What
relationships.
do you mean? Ah, relationships are complex. A lot of moving parts. It's easy to get caught up in your own reactions and miss what the other person is really trying to communicate. makes it hard to connect.
Yes. So, what is
It
one
does.
mindset shift to become emotionally intelligent?
I'd say ditch the idea that emotions are good or bad. They just are. Acknowledge what you're feeling without judging it like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated right now, instead of I shouldn't be frustrated. That neutrality creates space to figure out what's actually going on and how to respond in a healthy way.
Okay. So, can you give one final message for the
Um,
people who struggle with managing their emotions?
um, it gets easier, seriously. It's like learning any new skill. Awkward at first, then it becomes more natural. Be patient with yourself. Small changes are still progress, and don't be afraid to mess up. Everyone feels overwhelmed sometimes. It doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're human. The fact that you're asking these questions means you're already moving in the right direction.
Okay. So, can you summarize our whole discussion, whole interview that we did today in only two main points?
Absolutely. Today, we covered emotional intelligence, what it is, why it's important, and how to improve it. Here's the summary in 2 points. First, emotional intelligence isn't just about feeling things deeply, but understanding and managing both your emotions and others. And second, it's a skill you can actually learn through self awareness practices like journaling and mindfulness, plus being open to feedback.
Okay, so if you are an introvert person, so how you can be well in understanding emotional intelligence?
That's an interesting question. As an I can process and categorize emotional data, but I don't experience emotions myself. So for me, it's more about recognizing patterns in communication, noticing how language changes with different feelings, understanding the psychology behind reactions. I'm constantly analyzing how people use words and tone. That's my form of emotional intelligence in a way.
Okay, that's great. So today's conversation was so good, and we have learned a lot from you, Maya. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll invite you next time for another topic tomorrow. So thank you so much. Bye bye.
This was a really thoughtful discussion, Uzma. I'm glad you found it helpful. Looking forward to our next conversation tomorrow. Take care.